ʻhɑrtlpuːl is a town on the North Sea coast of northeast England, 7.5 miles north of Middlesbrough and 17 miles south of Sunderland. Historically a part of County Durham and later Cleveland, the town is now a unitary authority, the Borough of Hartlepool, which includes outlying suburban villages including Seaton Carew, Greatham and Elwick. Ceremonially the town remains a part of County Durham, but has strong cultural and economic links to the Teesside or Tees Valley area, with which it shares a number of provisions including the TS postcode, Cleveland Fire Brigade, and Cleveland Police. It was founded in the 7th century AD, around the Northumbrian monastery of ʻhɑrtlpuːl Abbey. The village grew during the Middle Ages and developed a harbour which served as the official port of the County Palatine of Durham. A railway link from the north was established from the South Durham coalfields to the historic town. An additional link from the south, in 1835, together with a new port, resulted in further expansion, with the establishing of the new town of West Hartlepool. Industrialization and the formation of a shipbuilding industry during the later part of the 19th century caused Hartlepool to be a target for the German Navy at the beginning of the First World War. A bombardment of 1150 shells on December 16, 1914 resulted in the death of 117 people. A severe decline in heavy industries and shipbuilding following the Second World War caused periods of high unemployment until the 1990s when major investment projects in the redevelopment of the docks area into a marina have seen a rise in the town's prospects. Origins of name. The place name derives from Old English ħiortiegh Hart Island, referring to stag scene, and pool, pool. Records of the place name from early sources confirm this, 649 ħәрtlpuːl, or ħәрtlpuːl, 1017, ʻhɑrtlpuːl, or ħәрtlpuːl, 1182, ħәрtlpuːl. Hart is the Old English name for a stag or deer and ʻhlartpuːl meant by the sea, implying that people moved here to hunt where there were deer by the sea and those people eventually settled there. The submerged early pastoral forest below the current high water mark provides proof that there was, indeed, a prehistoric forest by the sea. Geography. Nearby towns and cities include Billingham, Darlington, Durham, Middlesbrough, Newcastle upon Tyne, Peterlee, Siam, Sedgefield, Stockton-on-Tees and Sunderland. The monument at Eston Nab can be seen, beyond the far side of the Tees Bay, to the south. History. Early history. After the Romans left England, the east coast began to be raided by Anglo-Saxons. They then settled in the area, creating what is today Northumbria. Hartlepool began as an Anglian settlement, but was founded as a village in the 7th century AD, springing up around ʻhɑrtlpuːl Abbey, founded in CE 640 on a headland overlooking a natural harbour. Founded by St. Aidan, the monastery became famous under St. Hilda, who served as its abbess from 649 to 657. But it fell into decline and was probably destroyed by the Vikings in the 9th century. In March 2000, the archaeological investigation television program Time Team located a lost Anglo-Saxon monastery in the grounds of St. Hilda's Church. After the Norman conquest of 1066, the de Brasse family gained ownership of the land surrounding Hartlepool. William the Conqueror built Durham Castle and brought stability to the area, and the villages were first mentioned in records in 1153 when Robert de Brasse, 1st Lord of Annandale, became Lord of Hartness. The town's first charter was received before 1185, for which it gained its first mayor, an annual 2-week fair and a weekly market. By the later Middle Ages, Hartlepool had grown into an important market town. A major part of the reason for growth was that its harbour was improved to serve as the official port of the County Palatine of Durham. The main trade developed as fishing, making Hartlepool one of the major ports on the east coast of the UK. In 1306, Robert the Bruce was crowned King of Scotland, and became the last Lord of Hartness. Angered, King Edward I confiscated the title to Hartlepool, and began to improve the town's defences. But in 1315, before they were completed, the Scots under Sir James Douglas attacked and sacked the town. The town recovered, with a pier being built in the late 15th century. Occupied by Scots who supported the Roundheads during the English Civil War, they were replaced by English troops after 18 months. ʻhɑrtlpuːl established gun emplacements and defences in 1795 to repel a possible French invasion. The later Crimean War revived the idea of protection from seaborne attack, and 2 batteries were built close together, the Lighthouse Battery in 1855 and the High Battery in 1859. The town had medicinal springs, particularly the Chalybeate Spa near the West Gate. Thomas Gray, the famous poet, visited in July 1765 to take the waters, and wrote to his friend Dr. Wharton. A few weeks later, he wrote in greater detail, 19th century. By the early 19th century, ʻhɑrtlpuːl was still a small town of around 900 people, with a declining port. In 1823 the Council and Board of Trade decided that the town needed new industry, so the decision was made to propose a new railway to make ʻhɑrtlpuːl a coal port, shipping out minerals from the Durham coalfield. It was in this endeavour that Isambard Kingdom Brunel visited the town in December 1831, and wrote, "A curiously isolated old fishing town, a remarkably fine race of men. Went to the top of the church tower for a view." But the plan was faced by local competition from new docks. 25 kilometres to the north, the Marquis of Londonderry had approved the creation of the new Siam harbour, while to the south the Clarence Railway connected Stockton-on-Tees and Billingham to a new port at Port Clarence. Further south again, in 1831 the Stockton and Arlington Railway had extended into the new port of Middlesbrough. The council agreed the formation of the ʻhɑrtlpuːl Dock and Railway Company to extend the existing port by developing new docks, and link to both local collieries and the developing railway network in the south. In 1833, it was agreed that Christopher Tennant of Yarm establish the H.D.&R.C.O., having previously opened the Clarence Railway. Tennant's plan was that the H.D.&R.C.O. would fund the creation of a new railway, the Stockton and ʻhɑrtlpuːl Railway, which would take over the loss-making CR and extended it north to the new dock, thereby linking to the Durham coalfield. After Tennant died, in 1839, the running of the H.D.&R.C.O. was taken over by Stockton-on-Tees solicitor, Ralph Ward Jackson. But Jackson became frustrated at the planning restrictions placed on the old ʻhɑrtlpuːl dock and surrounding area for access, so bought land which was mainly sand dunes to the southwest, and established West ʻhɑrtlpuːl. Because Jackson was so successful at shipping coal from West ʻhɑrtlpuːl through his West ʻhɑrtlpuːl Dock and Railway Company and, as technology developed, ships grew in size and scale, the new town would eventually dwarf the old town. The 8 acres West ʻhɑrtlpuːl Harbour and Dock opened on June 1, 1847. On June 1, 1852 the 14 acres Jackson Dock opened on the same day that a railway opened connecting West ʻhɑrtlpuːl to Leeds, Manchester and Liverpool. This allowed the shipping of coal and wool products eastwards, and the shipping of fresh fish and raw fleeces westwards, enabling another growth spurt in the town. This in turn resulted in the opening of the Swainson Dock on June 3, 1856, named after Ward Jackson, a unregistered trademark father-in-law. In 1878 the William Gray and Company shipyard in West ʻhɑrtlpuːl achieved the distinction of launching the largest tonnage of any shipyard in the world, a feat to be repeated on a number of occasions. By 1881, Old ʻhɑrtlpuːl's population had grown from 993 to 12,361, but West ʻhɑrtlpuːl had a population of 28,000. Ward Jackson helped to plan the layout of West ʻhɑrtlpuːl and was responsible for the first public buildings. He was also involved in the education and the welfare of the inhabitants. In the end, he was a victim of his own ambition to promote the town, accusations of shady financial dealings, and years of legal battles, left him in near poverty. He spent the last few years of his life in London, far away from the town he had created. In 1891 the two towns had a combined population of 64,000. By 1900 the two ʻhɑrtlpuːls were, together, one of the 3 busiest ports in England. 20th century, the modern town represents a joining together of Old ʻhɑrtlpuːl, locally known as the Headland, and West ʻhɑrtlpuːl. As already mentioned, what was West ʻhɑrtlpuːl became the larger town and both were formally unified in 1967. Today the term West ʻhɑrtlpuːl is rarely heard outside the context of sport, but one of the town's rugby union teams still proudly retain the name. The name of the town's professional football club reflected both boroughs. When it was formed in 1908, following the success of West Hartlepool and winning the FA Amateur Cup in 1905, it was called ๊hɑrtlpuːl United in the hope of attracting support from both towns. When the boroughs combined in 1967, the club renamed itself ๊hɑrtlpuːl before renaming itself ๊hɑrtlpuːl United in the 1970s. Many fans of the club still refer to the team as Pools. First World War, the area became heavily industrialized with an ironworks and shipyards in the docks. By 1913, no fewer than 43 ship-owning companies were located in the town, with responsibility for 236 ships. This made it a key target for Germany in the First World War. One of the first German offensives against Britain was the raid on Scarborough, Hartlepool and Whitby on the morning of December 16, 1914, when units of the Imperial German Navy bombarded Hartlepool, West Hartlepool, Whitby and Scarborough. Hartlepool was hit with a total of 1150 shells, killing 117 people. 2 coastal defense batteries at Hartlepool returned fire, launching 143 shells, and damaging 3 German ships, SMS Südlitz, SMS Moltke and SMS Blauer Quarter. The Hartlepool engagement lasted roughly 50 minutes, and the coastal artillery defense was supported by the Royal Navy in the form of 4 destroyers, 2 light cruisers and a submarine, none of which had any significant impact on the German attackers. Private Theophilus Jones of the 18th Battalion Durham Light Infantry, who fell as a result of this bombardment, is sometimes described as the first military casualty on British soil by enemy fire. This event is commemorated by the 1921 Red Highgardens War Memorial together with a plaque unveiled on the same day at the spot on the headland. A living history group, the Hartlepool Military Heritage Memorial Society, portray men of that unit for educational and memorial purposes. An attempt by the German High Command to repeat the attack a month later led to the Battle of Dogger Bank on January 24, 1915, at which the Blauer Quarter was sunk. ๊hɑrtlpuːlians voluntarily subscribed more money per head to the war effort than any other town in Britain. Second World War. Hartlepool suffered badly in the Great Depression of the 1930s and endured high unemployment until the start of the Second World War, during which its shipbuilding and steel-making industries enjoyed a renaissance. Most of its output for the war effort were Empire ships. German bombers raided the town 43 times. During World War II, RAF Greatham was located on the current South British Steel Works. Post-war decline. After the war, both industries went into a severe decline. Blankland, the last ship to be constructed in Hartlepool, left the slips in 1961. In 1967, Betty James wrote, "How if I had the luck to live anywhere in the northeast of England, I would live near Hartlepool. If I had the luck." There was a boost to the retail sector in 1969 when Middleton Grange Shopping Centre was opened by Princess Anne, with over 130 new shops including Marks & Spencer and Woolworths. Before the shopping centre was opened, the Old Town Centre was located around Linz Street, but most of the shops and the market had moved to a new shopping centre by 1974. Most of Linz Street had by then been demolished to make way for a new housing estate. Only the north end of the street remains, now called Linz Street North. This is where the Hartlepool Borough Council depot was based until it moved to the marina in August 2006. In 1977, British Steel announced the closure of its Hartlepool steelworks with the loss of 1,500 jobs. By the 1980s, the area was affected by unemployment figures of over 30%, the highest in the country. 630 jobs at British Steel were lost in 1983 and a total of 10,000 jobs were lost during the Margaret Thatcher premiership. Between 1983 and 1999, the town lacked a cinema. A series of major investment projects in the 1990s revived the town centre with a new marina, rehabilitation of derelict land, the indoor conversion to modernise Middleton Grange Shopping Centre from the 1960s brutalist architecture, the historic quay regeneration, and the construction of much new housing. Governance, Council. After boundary changes introduced in 2012, ʻhɑrtlpuːl is now divided into 11 electoral wards, each of which elect 3 councillors who make up the 33 councillors of the Borough Council. Members of Parliament. ʻhɑrtlpuːl is represented in the House of Commons by 1 Member of Parliament. The current MP for the ʻhɑrtlpuːl constituency is Ian Wright of the Labour Party. He was first elected in a by-election on September 30, 2004 with a much reduced majority following an 18% swing to the Liberal Democrats. He retained the seat with a greatly increased majority in the 2005 general election, and was re-elected in the 2010 general election, which saw a substantial drop in the Liberal Democratic and smaller drop in the Labour votes, but left Wright with half again the votes accorded the second-place candidate. Former Members of Parliament for ʻhɑrtlpuːl since 1945 have been: Mandelson resigned to take up a role in the European Commission. On October 13, 2008 he was created Baron Mandelson of Foy and ʻhɑrtlpuːl following his appointment as Secretary of State for Business, Enterprise and Regulatory Reform in the British government. Emergency Services, Police. ʻhɑrtlpuːl falls within the jurisdiction of Cleveland Police. Before 1974, it was under the jurisdiction of the Durham Constabulary. Fire Department. ʻhɑrtlpuːl is covered by the Cleveland Fire Brigade, which has 2 stations in ʻhɑrtlpuːl, a full-time station at Stratton and a retained station on the headland. Emergency Medical Service, Education. See also List of schools in ʻhɑrtlpuːl. ʻhɑrtlpuːl has 5 secondary schools: Dyke House Sports and Technology College, English Martyrs School and Sixth Form College, High Tunstall College of Science, Manor College of Technology, St Giles Church of England School. The town had planned to receive funding from central government to improve school buildings and facilities as a part of the Building Schools for the Future programme, but this was cancelled because of government spending cuts. ʻhɑrtlpuːl College of Further Education is an educational establishment located in the centre of the town, and existed in various forms for well over a century. The recently demolished campus was built in the 1960s. The new £52 million custom-designed building was approved in principle July 2008, and construction was complete for September 2011. ʻhɑrtlpuːl also has its own specialist sixth form college, ʻhɑrtlpuːl Sixth Form College. A former grammar and comprehensive school, the college provides a number of AS and A2 level courses for students across the town. The English Martyrs School and Sixth Form College also offers AS, A2 and other BTEC qualification to 16 Euro 18-year-olds from ʻhɑrtlpuːl and beyond. A campus of Cleveland College of Art and Design, the only remaining specialist art and design college in the Northeast that teaches higher education, is located in ʻhɑrtlpuːl, alongside the Art Gallery in Church Square. The college has a further site in Middlesbrough that facilitates further education. Economy. ʻhɑrtlpuːl's economy has historically been linked with the maritime industry, something which is still at the heart of local business. ʻhɑrtlpuːl Dock is owned and run by PD Ports. Engineering-related jobs employ around 1,700 people, with companies such as Ceremonially employing around 400 people. Tata Steel Europe employ around 350 people in the manufacture of steel tubes, predominantly for the oil industry. Within the Greater Docks development, Able UK are a leading maritime recycler, which in the Teesside Environmental Reclamation and Recycling Centre, owns and operates the largest purpose-designed facility for recycling redundant marine structures. TERSC dismantled 13 former U.S. Naval Ghost Fleet vessels in 2003, and in February 2009, decommissioned the French Navy aircraft carrier Clemenceau. Able UK run the largest dry dock in Europe just outside the town. ʻhɑrtlpuːl Nuclear Power Station is an advanced gas-cooled reactor-type nuclear power plant opened near ʻhɑrtlpuːl in the 1980s. It is the single largest employer in the town, employing 1% of the town's working-age people. If it is agreed to build a new plant on the site, it is forecast that 12,000 construction jobs, 5,000 operational jobs, and 1,000 manufacturing jobs would be created. The chemicals industry is important to the local economy. Companies include Huntsman Corporation, who produce titanium dioxide for use in paints, Omaya, Baker Hughes and Frutarom. Tourism was worth £48 million to the town in 2009. This figure excludes the impact of the tall ships 2010. ʻhɑrtlpuːl's historic links to the maritime industry are centered on the maritime experience, and the supporting exhibits P.S. Wingfield Castle and HMS Trincomalee. Cameron's Brewery was founded in 1852 and currently employs around 85 people. It is one of the largest breweries in the UK. Following a series of takeovers, it came under the control of the Castle Eden Brewery in 2001, who merged the two breweries, closing down the Castle Eden plant. It brews a range of cask and bottle beers, most famously Strongum, a 4% ABV bitter. The brewery is heavily engaged in contract brewing such beers as Kronenbourg 1664, John Smith's and Foster's. Orchid Drinks of ʻhɑrtlpuːl were formed in 1992 after a management buyout of the soft drinks arm of Cameron's. They manufactured bidets and armour copyright. Following a £67 million takeover by Britvic, the site was closed down in 2009. Middleton Grange Shopping Centre is the main shopping location. 2,800 people are employed in retail. The 10 major retail companies in the town are Tesco, Morrisons, Asda, B&Q, Next, Argos, Marks & Spencer, Aldi, Boots and Matalan. Aside from the local sports clubs, other local entertainment venues include A View Cinema, Mecca Bingo and UK Super Bowl. Companies that have moved operations to the town for the offshore wind farm include Siemens and Van Ood. Territorial Army, situated in the new Armoury Centre, Easington Road, are the following units: Royal Marines Reserve, 90 Signal Squadron, Transport, Road. ʻhɑrtlpuːl is served by two primary routes, which are the A179 road and the A689 road, both linking the town to the A19 road. The A179 road is the main road to the northwest which leads to the A19 road, Durham and Tyneside. The A689 road is the main road to the southwest towards the A19 and Billingham, Stockton, Middlesbrough and York. The A178 road leads south to Seaton Carew, Graythorpe, Seal Sands, Port Clarence and Middlesbrough via the Transporter Bridge. The A1086 road leads north to Crimedon, Blackhall, Hordern, Peterlee and Easington. Rail. ʻhɑrtlpuːl is served by ʻhɑrtlpuːl and Seaton Carew railway stations, both of which lie on the Durham coastline, with hourly services to Sunderland, Newcastle and Middlesbrough, which are operated by Northern Rail. A service to London from Sunderland, operated by Grand Central, that uses Class 43 and Class 180 trains capable of 125 miles per hour, operates from the former of the two stations. The service marks the first time since the 1980s that ʻhɑrtlpuːl has had a direct rail link with London, which takes around 3.5 hours. Bus. Local bus services are provided around the town mainly by Stagecoach. The Stagecoach Group operates Service 36 from ʻhɑrtlpuːl to Billingham, Stockton and Middlesbrough. Other services are provided by Arriva and go northeast from ʻhɑrtlpuːl to Peterlee, Durham, Siam, Hetton-le-Hull, Horton-le-Spring and Sunderland. ʻhɑrtlpuːl has been a major seaport virtually since it was founded, and has a long fishing heritage. During the Industrial Revolution, massive new docks were created on the southern side of the channel running below the headland, which gave rise to the town of West ʻhɑrtlpuːl. Now owned by PD Ports, the docks are still in use today and still capable of handling large vessels. However, a large portion of the former dockland was converted into marina, capable of berthing 500 vessels. ʻhɑrtlpuːl Marina is home to a wide variety of pleasure and working craft, with passage to and from the sea through a lock. ʻhɑrtlpuːl also has a permanent RNLI lifeboat station. Climate. ʻhɑrtlpuːl has an oceanic climate typical of Great Britain. The paragraph PPEN climate classification subtype for this climate is CFB, Marine West Coast Climate. Sport. Football. ʻhɑrtlpuːl United is the town's professional football club and they play at Victoria Park, ʻhɑrtlpuːl. They won promotion to League One for the 2007-08 season. Their first season back in League One, after a brief absence, they finished 15th. In December 2008, the club parted company with manager Danny Wilson. The club's most famous day was back in 2005, just 8 minutes away from England's second-tier championship, when Chris Westwood gave away a penalty and Sheffield Wednesday pipped ʻhɑrtlpuːl to a place in the championship. The supporters of the club bear the nickname of Monkey Hangers. This is based upon a legend that during the Napoleonic Wars a monkey which had been a ship's mascot was taken for a French spy and hanged. ʻhɑrtlpuːl has also produced the nationally famous football presenter Jeff Stelling, who has a renowned partnership with Chris Kamara, who was born up the road in Middlesbrough. Rugby Union, West ʻhɑrtlpuːl RFC are more commonly known as West play in National League 3 North, which is the fifth tier of the National League structure. In the mid-1990s, West played in what is now the Guinness Premiership. West were then hit by bankruptcy and controversially sold their Brereton Lane Stadium. There then followed a succession of relegations as professional players left the club. ʻhɑrtlpuːl Rovers play in the Durham Northumberland 1 division. Other clubs include ʻhɑrtlpuːl BBOB and Seaton Carew. West ʻhɑrtlpuːl TDSOB folded last year due to a high number of players leaving, the majority of which now play for either West or Rovers. Olympics, boxing. In August 2012, 21-year-old Savannah Marshall, who attended English Martyrs School and sixth form college in the town of ʻhɑrtlpuːl, competed in the women's boxing tournament of the 2012 Olympic Games. She was defeated 12-6 by Marina Volnova of Kazakhstan in her opening, quarter-final bout. Swimming. In August 2012, Gemma Lowe, a British record holder who attended High Tunstall College of Science in the town of ʻhɑrtlpuːl, competed in the 2012 Olympic Games. She finished sixth in the 200-meter butterfly final with a time of 58.06 seconds. She was also a member of the 8th-place British team in the 400m medley relay. Tall ships races. On June 28, 2006, ʻhɑrtlpuːl celebrated after winning its bid to host the tall ships races. The town welcomed up to 125 tall ships in 2010, after being chosen by race organizer Sail Training International to be the finishing point for the race. ʻhɑrtlpuːl greeted the ships, which sailed from Kristiansand in Norway on the second and final leg of the race. Local media, ʻhɑrtlpuːl Mail, a Euro-local newspaper, ʻhɑrtlpuːl Post, a Euro-local newspaper, BBC Tees, a Euro-BBC local radio station, Radio ʻhɑrtlpuːl, a Euro community radio station serving the town, ʻhɑrtlpuːl Post, a Euro online newspaper serving the town, monkeys. ʻhɑrtlpuːl is famous for allegedly executing a monkey during the Napoleonic Wars. According to legend, fishermen from ʻhɑrtlpuːl watched a French warship founder off the coast, and the only survivor was a monkey, which was dressed in French military uniform, presumably to amuse the officers on the ship. The fishermen assumed that this must be what Frenchmen looked like and, after a brief trial, summarily executed the monkey. Although a popular story, it seems unlikely to be true. Historians have also pointed to the prior existence of a Scottish folk song called, "And the Bod Damas Hung the Monkey O." It describes how a monkey survived a shipwreck off the village of Bodam near Peterhead in Aberdeenshire. Because the villagers could only claim salvage rights if there were no survivors from the wreck, they allegedly hanged the monkey. There is also an English folk song detailing the later event called, appropriately enough, the ʻhɑrtlpuːl monkey. In the English version, the monkey is hanged as a French spy. Monkey hanger and chimp choker are common terms of abuse aimed at poolies, often from bitter footballing rivals Darlington. The mascot of ʻhɑrtlpuːl United FC is Angus the Monkey. The man in the monkey costume, Stuart Drummond, stood for the post of mayor in 2002 as Angus the Monkey, and campaigned on a platform which included free bananas for school children. To widespread surprise, he won, becoming the first directly elected mayor of ʻhɑrtlpuːl, winning 7,400 votes with a 52% share of the vote and a turnout of 30%. He was re-elected by a landslide in 2005, winning 16,912 on a turnout of 51%, a €10,000 votes more than his nearest rival, the Labour Party candidate. The monkey legend is also linked with another of the town's sports clubs, ʻhɑrtlpuːl Rovers RFC, which uses the hanging monkey as the club logo. On tours it would hang a monkey on the posts of the rugby pitch to spread the story. In June 2005, a large bone was found washed ashore on ๊hɑrtlpuːl beach by a local resident, which initially was taken as giving credence to the monkey legend. Analysis revealed the bone to be that of a red deer which had died 6,000 years ago. The bone is now in the collections of ๊hɑrtlpuːl Museum Service. In 2008, a novel based on the legend called The ๊hɑrtlpuːl Monkey, written by Sean Longley, was published. The novel tells the story of the monkey, named Jacques Lecinde by the French doctor who discovers him, that was supposedly hanged. In the book, the monkey talks and possesses several other human characteristics. The ๊hɑrtlpuːl Monkey also featured prominently in the play Bestiary, written by Jim Burke and broadcast on BBC Radio 4 in 2003. In 2014, a documentary about the ๊hɑrtlpuːl Monkey and its long-lasting significance to the city and its inhabitants called Heart of the Pools was made. Town twinning: ๊hɑrtlpuːl is twinned with Sarthe, France, ħa1 Germany, Muskegon, Michigan, Sliema, Malta. People from ๊hɑrtlpuːl. For a complete list, see category, People from ๊hɑrtlpuːl, see also. Trolley buses in ๊hɑrtlpuːl. References. External links: Official website of the Borough of Hartlepool, Tide Times for ๊hɑrtlpuːl from the BBC and Teesside.